Welcome, Pewter Report readers, viewers, and listeners to a brand new edition of the Pewter Report podcast, energized by Celsius, the official energy drink of pewterreport.com. It is a Thursday edition of the show, and we are going to be talking about how do the Bucs keep their momentum. So the Bucs are coming off a big 51-point scoring output against the Saints where they won. The Bucs have only had a 2-game winning streak this year. This is actually to begin the season when they knocked off the Commanders and then had that big-time win over the Detroit Lions. So could have a similar big-time win against the Ravens on Monday night if they are able to pull it off. So we'll kind of talk about a little bit more of the matchups, how the Bucs are feeling. We are at practice today and heard from Baker Mayfield, so we'll kind of recap that a little bit and get into a lot more. So I'm your host, Matt Matera, joined with me, my fellow co-host and the colleague at Pewter Report of mine, Adam Slavon. Adam, welcome back to the show. It's been a little bit, but good to have you. And how we doing?
We're doing great, Matt. On vacation this week. It has been a while since doing the show, though. Between the Hurricanes hitting, the Thursday night game against the Falcons, it's kind of thrown us off a little bit of a schedule, but back to the routine a little bit. Have an exciting matchup to preview with the Baltimore Ravens on Monday night. So doing great. I know you were there at the facility today, listening to Baker Mayfield and his press conference. So excited to dive into that with you.
Yeah, Baker was very interesting today. By the way, shout out to everybody in the comments right now in the chats. We got Jolly Jigs saying Bucs can do it. Jolly Jigs is a Pewter Report YouTube channel member. Jeff the Champ saying, what's good, everyone? And yeah, Baker was feeling it today. I'm not exactly sure what he had for lunch that day or whatever the case may be, but he was in a very jokey mood. He was very much a silly goose today up at the podium for his press conference. He got asked a lot about Mark Andrews, who is the Ravens tight end. And Mark Andrews and Baker were teammates at Oklahoma. They're really good friends. Baker called Mark Andrews his best friend. Also said that Mark Andrews is a weirdo because they don't talk during football season because Mark Andrews is just only focused on football and can't separate football from really anything else. There were further details about Baker Mayfield's bachelor party where they went on a Sasquatch Bigfoot hunt and they were going to use Mark Andrews as the bait. And then the press conference ended with Baker. He got asked again about Mark Andrews. So it's not like he volunteered these nuggets of information, but he got asked again and was asked about Mark Andrews and blah, blah, blah. And he pretty much said that that Mark Andrews has gone soft. And he said people are saying that Mark Andrews has gone soft. Baker just wanted to reiterate, he is not one of those people saying that Mark Andrews has gotten soft, but that's what people are saying about him. And then also went on to say that he loves Mark Andrews. So a lot of Mark Andrews conversation. And then, Josh Jick says Baker also said Sterling Shepard is crazier than Mark Andrews. The other piece of information that a little more tangible to the game and plausible is the scrambling ability of Baker Mayfield. And, some people are trying to put Baker, and Baker laughed at this too, and I agree with them. Some people are trying to put Baker in the same rushing category as Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen. But Baker kind of scoffed at it and laughed at it, and then said he would not put himself in that category. He said he does what he can. But Todd Bowles brought up a really good point, Adam, that I think we can kind of expand upon. He said that Baker is he runs a lot when the defense has their back turned. So he's smart with his running, and he called him a calculated runner. So I think that's kind of the biggest thing we've seen this year is when Baker's running, he's not just stepping back and saying, okay, no one's open, I'm going to go. There is a method to his madness.
I would say so. And there's a grittiness about the way that he runs. When there isn't a spy or somebody up the middle, he takes that calculated risk, runs up the middle, picks up that first down. And he has 136 rushing yards this year. It's actually kind of surprising. He isn't on that tier of like Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen, but I would say probably the tier below, kind of him, Daniel Jones. He finds ways to use his legs when he needs to. He doesn't go out of his way. Oh, I'm just going to go run. And he does take the hit, but he doesn't always look for running lanes, just when he needs to.
Yeah, that is true. And I think the difference between Daniel Jones and Baker is like Daniel Jones will have designed runs for him. And I know Baker had the
The
QB
one
sneak against the Lions, but Daniel Jones, they do it all the time. But I think that's more of just Daniel Jones stinks as a quarterback, and we're like, we have to have him run because he can't throw the football. But Baker has the same type of mobility. And I'm talking about mobility, not like overall quarterback play. I'm not talking about arm strength, accuracy. But Baker has the same kind of mobility, I would say, that like Trevor Lawrence has, or even Dak Prescott, a couple of those guys. Now, if you lumped all those three into a category and you said, who's playing the best football this year out of those guys? Oh, there's no question. It's Baker Mayfield. But Baker has provided a little something more at the quarterback position with what he's doing from a running standpoint and a mobile standpoint, where he did it last year. But somehow this year, he's just kind of taken it to a next level. And it's a little bit of his like Oklahoma Baker type of play. And it's kind of just led to better offense overall.
Yeah, that's a great point. Kind of does remind you of the Oklahoma days. And he did go into the offseason. He looks a lot leaner. I know you mentioned he spent some time out west in the higher elevation. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it. But just his ability overall, not just outside of the pocket scrambling, but the mobility to dodge sacks and still keep a good presence in the pocket and avoiding pass rushers. It's really been improved from last year when you go back and look at it. So he's making improvements not just as a passer. All the statistics put him in the upper echelon of quarterbacks so far this year, but also just in the pocket in general and running.
Bat W with a good comment. Bat W is a Pure Report YouTube channel member, says, better, he just has a sense of when to take off. And I think that's kind of just also having Liam Cohen as his offensive coordinator and having comfortability with the offense and what he has to do. Because I think even that game against the Saints, as Rukuov says, Gus Swayze plus Bud Light equals MVP. Yeah, that was another storyline that came out today when we were at the facility, that Baker is like teaming up with Bud Light, which, hey, that's great. Fantastic. I'm happy for him. I just thought like NFL players couldn't, and I ain't no snitch, so I'm all about, hey, get that money. But I know in the past, I thought NFL players like couldn't get alcohol deals, but I'm happy that he did, or maybe it's just for the NFL. But like the Bucs were retweeting it and stuff, so clearly it's fine. But yeah, what I was going to say is that he's just got this grasp of the offense right now. And I know like second half against the Falcons, there was a little bit of a struggle, but you look at the overall body of work for Baker Mayfield right now, Adam, and I think there's no question about it. He has to be in that MVP conversation.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Through 6 games, I mean, recently did a story on Pewter Report comparing him to some of the top quarterbacks in the league. He's outplaying pretty much every quarterback in the NFL right now. He's leading the league in touchdown passes. The only quarterback I would really put in the same like performance so far this year would be Joe Burrow. Has a little bit of a higher completion percentage, less interceptions, but just like you said, his ability to grasp Liam Cohen's offense, it's really elevated his game, especially compared to last year with Dave Canales. He was good, but this year he's been looking great and he looks rejuvenated. And he's really kind of, a lot of quarterbacks, they kind of get better in their 30s. I mean, you look at Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, they kind of had that second career in their 30s. And Baker Mayfield, he's kind of like, he took what he went through in the beginning of his career, bouncing from team to team. He's really finding his groove and that stability. And I think all of that is equating to better play this season.
That's a really interesting take, and a good observation as well. That like quarterbacks, I think we know it's the most important position, but more than most positions, the experience is so much as important as just understanding how to read a defense and getting coached up and all those things. So quarterbacks don't really truly develop until a couple of years in the league. And that's why, like, Trevor Lawrence, everyone's like, oh my God, like he's awful right now.
Yeah.
Well, he was pretty good up to that. Like, can't we just chalk it up to a bad year and then maybe he learns from that and is better next season? Like, I don't know, everyone's just ready to throw people to the side as soon as there's like a little bit of conflict. But on the other hand, on the
Especially
other side of it,
like young quarterbacks too. Like
right.
the Jets gave up on Sam Darnold. Look what he's doing with the Vikings. Or Geno Smith.
Yeah.
Look what he's doing with the Seahawks. You can't give up on young quarterbacks yet, just based on a year or two of being in a dysfunctional franchise. And I think the Browns, every day, the general manager is waking up regretting that decision to give up Baker Mayfield in favor of Deshaun Watson, because it's backfired to such a great extent.
And I think to a degree, that's more the coaching staff's inability to kind of develop a quarterback. Like you mentioned, Sam Darnold and Geno Smith. Like Sam Darnold specifically, he had Adam Gase as a coach, who, as we learned, like Peyton Manning was the reason Adam Gase is doing well. It was not it was not Adam Gase and his coaching ability. Bryce Young is a very different situation with the Carolina Panthers. But I was trying to but for Baker with the Browns, it was very much just an ineptitude of a franchise, of a coaching staff, of a team that could not figure it out. They did kind of figure it out with Baker, but they pulled the plug so quickly. And I don't know, I can't help but kind of laugh a little bit when I see the Cleveland Browns playing so poorly based on just a terrible, terrible decision that that the Browns decide to do. But you know what? It's better for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because Baker is doing everything. I shouldn't say everything, but doing a lot for this team at the moment. By the way, we have a Pewter Report YouTube channel membership that has been gifted by Paul, a.k.a. Florida Dream House. Thank you so much, Paul.
Thank you, Paul.
That is very, very kind of you for giving out this gift. You've done it before, and you're awesome for doing it again. And Paul, a.k.a. Florida Dream House, follows that up with Baker Mayfield MVP, ... Adam is brilliant with his analysis. Yeah, I mean, it was a great article that you had. The comparison is a lot of fun. And I'm even curious right now, like, who else would really be in the MVP conversation? Like, I know you talked about the stats of Joe Burrow, but Joe Burrow's on a 2-4 team. Like,
exactly
that you're not going to have a 2-4 quarterback be in the conversation. I think Josh Allen would have to be in there as well, just based on like the Bills lost all those receivers and you know they're still kind of humming along. But
Nate Daniel,
Baker Mayfield, without question, has to be near the top.
Yeah, definitely top 5 if the season were to end today, and potentially top 3. I don't know if they would give it to Baker Mayfield just yet, but to be determined.
Jolly Jigs, a Pewter Report YouTube channel member, says Ravens have a stout run defense, so I think Baker is more important than ever for this game. Yeah, I mean, this is one of the toughest defenses I think the Bucs at this point have played this year. I mean, Detroit certainly was difficult, and the Bucs had their issues. They had their problems in the second half against Atlanta, but outside of that, they've done a lot of good things against probably more poor of defenses. But we'll talk a little bit more about that, after the break with Baker and how he'll attack the Ravens defense. We also want to talk about the Bucs running back room as well. And, a couple of those running backs might be on the Tampa Bay Bucs cruise coming up this year. We know Rachaad White has been there in the past. And, of course, the Tampa Bay Bucs cruise is coming up in March.
We're on the Bucs cruise. Of course we're playing pool volleyball.
Hey, we on the Bucs cruise, of course. Anytime I say Tampa, they will say Bay. Tampa! Hey! Tampa! Hey! Tampa! Hey!
We're on the Bucs cruise. Of course, I've got my Super Bowl 37 hardware. What do you think?
We're on the Bucs cruise, and of course we had a pirate night. Arr! Arr!
Hey, Scott Reynolds here for the Tampa Bay Bucs cruise. Listen, I just got off the phone with the people at the Tampa Bay Bucs cruise that the ship is about 70% full right now. So that means if you're considering going on the Tampa Bay Bucs cruise, which sets sail March 7th through 10th next year out of Fort Lauderdale with stops in Key West and Bimini, Bahamas, well, do so now. You've got to book your cruise because booking ends December 1st. That's right. You only have about 6 weeks left to book your cruise. The holidays are coming up. It makes a fantastic gift. Guys, if you want to check out all of the Bucs players that are going to be on this cruise and have a good time hanging with other Buccaneer fans, well, this is the thing to do. You tell your wife or the girlfriend, hey, listen, I'm going to take you on a cruise, baby, next March. And then you get her excited about it and say, it's a Bucs cruise. So we get to go all these tropical places and I get to hang out with some really cool Buccaneer players like Yaya Diaby, Luke Gedeke, former Bucs legend Mike Allstott, Super Bowl winning quarterback Brad Johnson. There's just so many Buccaneer players. And what I've been told is there's going to be 2 more players that are going to be announced next week. So here's what you need to do. You need to, and this is a special promotion that we're going to be involved with here. We just posted this on X. It'll be on Facebook as well. The Buccaneer Tampa Bay Bucs fan cruise, they've got 6 tickets. That's 3 pairs of tickets for the Bucs Falcons game that they're going to give away. All you have to do is follow them on their Facebook page and their Instagram page. And I'm going to put those pages up here. And basically, you need to go to Tampa Bay Bucs fan cruise. That's on the Facebook page, and TB Bucs cruise. That is the Instagram page. So as long as you are following Tampa Bay Bucs fan cruise on Facebook and TB Bucs cruise on Instagram, you're entered to win a pair of tickets for the Bucs Falcons game. And you're also registered to win for a pair of tickets to the Jameson tailgate party. So it's a great opportunity for you to go to the game, eat, drink, be merry before the Bucs Falcons creamsicle game. They're also including a parking pass. So there'll be 3 lucky winners that are going to win a pair of tickets. So make sure you follow our partners at Tampa Bay Bucs Cruise on their Facebook page and their Instagram page. And if you're considering going, and I know we have a lot of people in the Pewter Report community that have already signed up for the cruise, like Nathan Elliott, for example, you only have until December 1st. This is not something you can put off until after the holiday season, or I'll think about it as it gets closer to the cruise, because the deadline for signups is December 1st. So make sure you're aware of that. Again, the holidays are coming up. It's a great time. Pewter Report staff will be there as well. So make sure that you sign up for the Tampa Bay Bucs cruise right now. If you're thinking about it, you can go to tampabaybucscruise.com for all of the information.
Yeah, that's a great deal. Thanks to it's always great when we get a Scott Reynolds cameo on a Thursday show. But yeah, that's a great deal. 3 tickets to the Bucs Falcons game, the creamsicle game, which of course is coming up next Sunday. And then go on the cruise as well. Pewter Report will be there. We'll have a fun time, and you get to see a lot of the Bucs players. So make sure you check that out over at the Tampa Bay Bucs Cruise and follow them. It takes 2 seconds to hit that follow button. Adam, what I also want to talk about, and it's been one of the biggest conversations regarding the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, is the running back rotation that they have.
Yeah.
With the emerging Sean Tucker, the NFC Offensive Player of the Week, Sean Tucker, Bucky Irving, who's been a fan favorite early in his NFL career, and Rachaad White, who is the longest-standing Bucs running back, and has had an up-and-down year, kind of fallen out of the good graces of Bucs fans. But Todd Bowles today said that they're going to need all 3, and they're going to ride the hot hand. What would you suggest that the Bucs do?
So this is a great question. Looking at the running back rotation, I kind of had an idea, and I want to run this by you in terms of kind of rotating these guys. So with Bucky Irving being so efficient, making the first guy miss, have him start on first down, maybe pick up 5 or 6 yards, set up like a second and short, second and medium, then having Sean Tucker come in as kind of a bigger physical back on second downs. And then on third down, maybe you sprinkle in Rachaad White there as a third down back, good in pass protection, receiving back, kind of rotating the guys that way. Because as Todd Bowles mentioned, like they need all three running backs and they want to create a three-headed monster at the position. Liam Cohen mentioned earlier this year, it's hard to really manage that rotation. So I wonder if that would be a good way of keeping the guys fresh and maybe kind of evening out the carries. Each of them kind of gets a third. But when you look at it, it's a good problem to have. I mean, you went from having Rachaad White coming into the season as the running back one, and now you maybe have three running back ones. I mean, Liam Cohen, he's up at night drawing plays for each of them, so it has to be a good thing.
Yeah, there's no wrong answers to this. And I do think Rachaad White is still going to be very important. I see Rachaad White as more of that third down running back, but I don't look at it as a demotion by any means because he's going to be able to run the football. Now, your idea of like one player on each down, I don't hate it, but I think from a
game planning standpoint.
A game planning standpoint and a plausibility factor, you want the guys to be in rhythm a little bit. So if you're constantly taking them on and off the field, I think it really messes with the rhythm a lot. Yeah, now, I'd be fine with, one guy on first and second down and then someone else comes in on third down, but it's not always established that, Rachaad White's going to be on third down. Like maybe one time it's Sean Tucker, another time it's Bucky Irving on third down. What I hope to see more of is they go with the pony package on first or second down. Really doesn't matter what down it is, but you get each of those players on the field at the same time. I don't think we're going to see a situation when all three are on together.
Yeah, that'd be wild.
But you can show the variety of they can go Sean Tucker and Rachaad White. They can go Bucky and Rachaad White. They can go Sean Tucker and Bucky Irving. Like there's so many different ways that they can go about it. I would also be fine if it's like, I know we've ridiculed Todd Bowles with this in the past when it comes to the edge rushers. And it's like, why don't you sub the guys in and out more instead of just giving them a series? But I think for the running back position, it would almost be better if like first series Bucky Irving goes and second series Rachaad White goes. And then third series it's Sean Tucker, whatever the case may be. Because you're just keeping everybody fresh the whole time. And then if Sean Tucker explodes like he did in the fourth quarter, well, then you go back to Sean Tucker for that following drive. It's almost like the beginning of the game. And sure, it'll be different. Like if it's a long sustaining drive versus a 3 and out, you kind of need a little bit more of like answers and things of that nature. I like this comment from Perry who says T formation blast from the past. But let the first 3 drives of game. So you're essentially talking about the first quarter, maybe early second quarter. Let it be an audition every single week with those 3 guys and then figure out, okay, this guy's playing the best. They're finding success when, this running back's out in the flat or the pony package has gotten 100 yards already. Let that kind of dictate what everybody wants to do. Because as we've seen, Liam Cohen is finding the best for everybody in this offense. Like I know it hasn't worked for Mike Evans a ton in yardage, but Mike Evans is tied for the league lead with 5 touchdowns. So is Chris Godwin. He also has 5, and his 511 receiving yards are third in the NFL. And then you talk about the run game. Bucky Irving has burst onto the scene and leads all rookies in rushing yards. And there's a fair amount of rookie running backs that got drafted this year and weren't starters, and neither was Bucky Irving. Sean Tucker gets Offensive Player of the Week. Like he's truly tapping in and dialing into everything that's working for everybody. So I'm excited to see how this running back room looks, and it's going to be a big, big challenge as well, Adam, against a Ravens defense that is the best in the league at stopping the run.
Yeah, only giving up 59 yards per game. And kind of talking about the running back rotation, I think that's the way that the Bucs keep momentum, is keeping the Ravens defense off balance. When you have 3 different running backs with 3 different styles of play, you mentioned that 21 personnel. I'd be curious if Sean Tucker would kind of stay out there in both instances, just because Bucky Irving and Rachaad White are such good receiving backs. I think that could be a way to open up the offense and kind of taking the running aspect and connecting with the pass a little bit. The Bucs play action against the Saints was spot on. It was phenomenal. The way that they were able to create separation underneath and down the middle of the field. If the run game gets established, if they can kind of break the wall that is the Ravens front 7 and set up the passing game, I think that all of it kind of connects. And that's a way that the Bucs can truly build that momentum, because you look at the passing offense, it may not include Mike Evans yet, but Chris Godwin, first in the league in catches, tied for first in touchdowns, third in the league in receiving yards. You're seeing him kind of be utilized in that Cooper Kupp role. So if they can set up the run, play action, get it to Chris Godwin, right now he's their wide receiver 1. Mike Evans, he's kind of taken a back seat with his injury, but all that together, I think the Bucs offense would be in a pretty good place. And the fact that the Ravens and the Bucs both have 30 points scored in each of the last 3 games, do you think this one will be a shootout?
I don't know, based on the Bucs defense, because the Bucs defense has been very Jekyll and Hyde this year. Now the overs have been hitting a lot this season with the Bucs, and the Ravens have too, which surprises me a little bit based on the physicality of their team, especially their defense, and their ability of running the football. Like, they have Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, and I guess their ability of running the football is just ripping off 80-yard runs. Typically, when you think of, like, a good rushing team, it takes them a little bit to get down the field, but it's more 6-yard runs, 7-yard runs, and if you're going 80 yards, that's going to chew up some clock. It could very much be a shootout. I mean, the Bucs' last 2 games have been a shootout, so yeah, I guess why not if that's kind of the way that it's been going. I have another point to make as well, but want to give a shout-out to Angelina S., who's been a Pewter Report YouTube channel member for over a month now. And Angelina S. says, win or lose Monday night, Falcons is a must win. Yeah, I agree with that. Each team is 4-2, but the Falcons have the tiebreaker at the moment. And speaking of Pewter Report YouTube channel members, we also want to give a huge thank you to our Pewter Platinum members, Scott Federico, Rafael Gordon, Noah Parr, Scotty J, and Dave Anderson. Thank you so much for all of your support of pewterreport.com and our YouTube channel. We will be having our next Pewter Insider tomorrow at, I believe we're doing it at 3:30. We'll let everybody know in the community area, but topic's going to be, how do the Bucs slow down the Ravens' run game? We'll talk about it a little bit here, but we'll dive into much more and answer every single question and comment that the Pewter Premier and Platinum members have. So keep an eye out for that tomorrow. The last point I want to make about what we were just talking about is I loved how the Bucs started the game against the Saints, not just from scoring a touchdown on their opening drive, which, hey, do that every single time. They've done it the last 3 games as well, which is crazy to think. Each time the Bucs have gotten the ball to start the game, they've won. And every time that they haven't, they've lost. So I think what will be really important for the Bucs and what kind of worked for them against the Saints is they came out throwing early. And they found success throwing it, but the biggest thing was the Saints had to, play further back on defense, and that's what started opening up the running lanes for Bucky Irving and for Sean Tucker. So they got the running game going at the beginning. Then the second half, they just annihilated everybody. So I would, against the Ravens, I would go out and just start throwing, and then run it against the Ravens defense.
Yeah, and especially kind of get Baker Mayfield into that rhythm. Like last game against the Saints, he started off the game 9 for 9. The running game, they were able to really establish and set the tone. And then in the second half, completely just took over. And tiring the Saints defense in the first half really set them up in the second half, because each run they were getting like 8 to 10 yards, Matt. Like they're really establishing themselves. So I think that's a good game plan. Another thing that I find kind of funny, the past 3 games, the first offensive play has gone to Mike Evans on a passing route. So I wonder if that trend continues. That'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, so let's talk about Mike for a second, because Mike did not practice today. He tweaked his leg, and this has been a nagging injury for him this season. That's what Todd Bowles said today. Now, we did see Mike in the locker room, and typically when you see an injured guy in the locker room, by the way, shout out to Eric McMillan, who is now a Pewter Report YouTube channel member. Welcome to the group, Eric. And thank you for all of your support of Pewter Report. Mike was in the locker room, and typically when you see an injured player in the locker room, odds are that they are going to play. And we know Mike is one tough cookie. He hates missing games. He powers through a lot of stuff. But he was clearly hobbled in that game against the Saints. I feel like the injury got aggravated in it because, as you said, they got Mike early. They got him involved very, very early. And he was doing well. He had 2 catches, 30-plus yards. And then the injury really, really set him back. They put him on a pitch count. They put him on, like, just kind of third downs. He was a decoy. So we'll see if he practices tomorrow or Saturday. I don't know how much the Bucs can rely on Mike Evans for this game. And I think the injury report should be coming out relatively soon.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure how much of an impact he's going to have in this game specifically. But the emergence of Chris Godwin, I think, can still keep the Bucs offense afloat and keep them competitive in this game.
It'll keep them competitive, but you have to wonder if the Ravens will put Marlon Humphrey more on Chris Godwin instead of Mike Evans, just because Evans, with that nagging leg injury, how much of an impact will he have? So that'll draw more attention to Chris Godwin, and potentially that can kind of hurt the momentum that the Bucs offense has built, because you've relied on Chris Godwin being able to get open and create that separation, not drawing those number one matchups. But with Mike Evans kind of not being 100%, you wonder, first off, how much is he going to see the field? But you mentioned him not being like he's a hard cookie. He's not Mark Andrews, who's a soft cookie. So
yes, yeah, there you go. Tough cookie, but yeah, same thing. And then on the flip side of that, you have Sterling Shepard, who's kind of emerged. You know, has done a good job as wide receiver 3. Todd Bowles kind of cracked a joke at him, forcing all those penalties, committing all those penalties, whatever you want to call it, against the Saints. The Bucs got some good news on the receiver front with Rakim Jarrett is now in the 21-day window where he can practice and then get activated to the 53-man roster. Trey Palmer also wore a non-contact jersey today, so it looks like he's trending towards playing today. But I think, or playing Monday, excuse me. But I think that's big given the injury to Mike, and also Jalen McMillan did not look like himself. I know he hasn't really been that impactful this year, but he struggled against the Saints, did not have a catch. His drop, or it wasn't even like really credited as a drop, but the throw to him that got batted up in the air ended up being an interception and did not look like the third string punt return guy. Maybe there's a reason why he was the third string. So it's a little bit of all over the place, a little bit of a carousel. Like Mike kind of goes down. Trey Palmer comes back up. McMillan's kind of in the even. Sterling Shepard doing better. So how do you look at the wide receiver room? Like, since let's just say Mike either isn't playing or like is on a pitch count limited role, Mike's in his own separate conversation. Is it Sterling Shepard 2, Trey Palmer 3? Like, how do you see that?
I would say Sterling Shepard 2, not just because of all the Oklahoma people playing on Monday night, but Shepard has really done the most in the wide receiver 3 role. Of course, he had the two penalties against the Saints, but he also has caught a touchdown this season. The first game when he had 3 catches for 51 yards, that game to kind of get him on the active roster. He's shown an ability to really be crisp with his routes, and he doesn't look like the guy he was towards the end of his tenure with the Giants. He looks rejuvenated, and I think that blend of him still being experienced enough, he's a versatile veteran, I think that plays more than the young receivers at this point. Because you mentioned McMillan struggles. He's had a ton of snaps. I think he's had like 170, 180 snaps this season. Only a handful of catches. He doesn't look like the Jalen McMillan that was catching everything in training camp or making that spectacular catch in the preseason. I think right now you have to play Shepard at 2 if Mike can't go. Maybe McMillan 3. You will have to see with Trey Palmer because non-contact jersey, he has a few days to kind of work and ramp his way back up. I know we had this discussion with Luke Gedeke that skilled position players usually recover quicker from concussions, but I would probably put him at 4 at this point.
So I would put Palmer 3 and McMillan 4, again, based on Todd Bowles' comments about he's trending and he's going to play if he can, pass concussion protocol. I liked what I saw from Trey Palmer in that game against the Eagles. Now, unfortunately, he got the concussion in that game, and then he's been out ever since. But up until that point, he was really bringing something. So Shepard has proven a lot so far in his limited role. Palmer, I feel a little more comfortable when it comes to just his overall efficiency in the offense. McMillan, I think, needs to be eased along just a little bit. And for Mike Evans, one thing that could help him out if he needs a little more like giddy up is maybe have a Celsius energy drink, which of course is the official energy drink of pewterreport.com. There's tons and tons of great flavors of Celsius, like the sparkling lemonade, the sparkling kiwi strawberry, all fantastic stuff. So if you know where to find Celsius energy drink, go to the Celsius store locator on their website, punch in your address, and it'll tell you the closest location where you can pick it up. Could be Walmart, health and fitness store, a Publix, a Stop and Shop, or your bodega.
Bodega.
Wow. That was deep. That was a good one. Once you keep going to your bodega and you know you love Celsius and you want more, that's when you can buy it in bulk over on Amazon. Get that variety pack because variety is the spice of life, and there's so many great flavors of Celsius. Have it sent to your place of residence whenever you want. Just make sure you're drinking Celsius energy drinks, the official energy drink of pewterreport.com. I see some people in the chat wondering about what jerseys the Bucs are going to wear for this game. And Adam, I think it has to be the red jerseys for a couple of reasons. One, they haven't worn the red jerseys yet, and they've already played 6 games. And this is a home game, and it's at night, so there's no excuse not to wear the red jerseys. And 2, next week, they are wearing the creamsicle jerseys that has been announced since before the season began. You can't go 8 weeks into the season, wear your 3rd jersey, and not even wear your team home colors. So they have to wear the red jerseys. And I don't care that the last time they wore red on a primetime game at night against the Ravens, they lost that game. Different team, different players on each side. Yeah, still core players on each side as well. But you got to wear the red for that one. And then people are saying, bam, the creamsicle. Maybe just play better in them. How about that?
Yeah, I'd say so. And it would be a crime not to wear the red jerseys. I mean, the first couple weeks of the season, you get it. Against the Commanders, it's 90 degrees in Tampa, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, sun's beating down. You want to wear the white jersey. Okay. But like you said, 8 weeks into the season, not wearing the red jersey, the team, they look good in the red jersey. And with the lights going at Ray J, all the red in the crowd, wear the red jersey. Don't wear the white. And then the following week, it might bring some good luck with the creamsicle uniforms. So yeah, I'm fully on board, and I appreciate all the emphasis that you put into them wearing the red uniforms.
Yeah, thank you. And yeah, this whole show is about momentum and everything. It's kind of odd, right, that the Bucs have looked so good at times, and yet they've only won 2 games in a row, and it was the first 2 games of the season. This gauntlet of a schedule, I mean, even if the most they win is 2 games in a row, I think that's still a hell of an accomplishment, considering that you got the Ravens and then the Falcons, Kansas City's on the schedule, the Niners as well. Like, this is as brutal as it gets for the Bucs schedule this year. But if they come out the other side, like Andy Dufresne and Shawshank Redemption, that is going to be an amazing run for the Bucs down the stretch.
Yeah, definitely. And when you look at it, right now they're 4-2. I think if they go 2-2 over the next 4 games, that's a big win, because then you got the bye week, you face the Giants, who've looked meh, you got the Raiders, who have Aiden O'Connell at quarterback. Presumably, you'd come out of the bye week at 6-4. You win those 2 games, you're 8-4. Then you kind of build some momentum facing the Chargers and the Cowboys later in the season. I think right now, though, every game in this 4-game gauntlet is a winnable game. They could beat the Ravens on Monday night. They can face the Falcons. They almost beat them in Atlanta at home. They have that home field advantage. They can pull out a win. Heading to Kansas City, although they're 5-0, the Bucs have had the better offense this year. They've outscored them by 6 points a game. And then you look at the 49ers. The Bucs don't have to make the travel all the way to San Francisco this year.
Yeah.
San Francisco's making the travel to Tampa. So I think if they just go 500, they don't have to win on Monday night, but it would be really nice. They would be set up to be in a good position, though, heading into the second half.
We have a comment from a Pewter Report YouTube channel member, Bry, who says, I see interception number 3 for Zion McCollum coming. Yeah, let's talk about the Bucs defense against Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, a lot of those guys. And Zion McCollum, Adam, I mean, Jamel Dean did not practice today. Actually, yeah, let's talk about the guys that practiced and did not practice today, at least from what we saw. I still don't think the injury report has come out just yet. But from practice today, we said no Mike Evans. Jamel Dean did not participate either, and neither did Payne Durham. But the good news was Graham Barton was there. Rashad White was there. Christian Izzian had returned. So, and then you heard us talk about the other wide receivers, Trey Palmer, Rakim Jarrett. Didn't see Cameron Johnson as well. But the cornerback position, you lost Hall at the beginning of the season, the first game of the season. You lost Jamel Dean last game. We'll see how it turns for Jamel Dean, but not practicing today and just knowing his overall injury history, looks like it's going to be Tyreek Funderburk starting at corner for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The only guy that's really been steady at corner has been Zion McCollum, and he hasn't just been good. He's been great this season.
Yeah, it's kind of been a little bit of a McCollum Island out there because the way he's been playing, his ability to shut down the opposing receiver, it's been a very pleasant surprise. The Bucs expected McCollum to be a starter, but to be one of the top corners in the league this far into the season, just a complete surprise. And you look at this matchup, they're going up against the Ravens offense led by Zay Flowers at receiver. And Zay Flowers, he's 5'9", 175. He's very dynamic, but McCollum with his size and his speed, I think that'll help neutralize Flowers, and very much so could be the third interception for him this season. How do you see that matchup in particular panning out, Matt?
Yeah, Zay Flowers kind of had a slow start to the season, but has picked it up over the last couple of weeks. I'm a big fan of him as a receiver, but he's not your traditional, tall guy that can just go straight down the field. Like, he'll zigzag, do things over the middle. So I'm curious, how much McCollum will go up against him versus, say, like a Tyke Smith or whoever else the Bucs want to deploy at him, just on the way that, the Bucs keep their corners on one side of the field, and Zay Flowers can kind of go a little bit everywhere. And the Ravens are such an interesting offense, right? Because you have the weapon of Lamar Jackson who can run it, but he's a good quarterback as well. Their wide receivers are good. Bateman is a good player. Aguilar has kind of bounced around the league a little bit, but Flowers and Bateman aren't your they're not a top 10 tandem in the league. They're effective, but they just bully you with physicality, running the football. Derrick Henry's been a huge addition for them, and then they got the tight ends involved. So McCollum Flowers will be a ton of fun. It'll be insane speed. We won't even be able to watch it because it'll just be quick blips on the radar. My biggest concern in the passing game, of course, always is containing Lamar Jackson. But the tight ends and Baker Mayfield's buddy, Mark Andrews, they may decimate the Bucs linebackers, specifically KJ Britt, because that's a big matchup that the Ravens are going to exploit. And, they're one of the best teams at identifying an issue in their opponent and just having them go after it over and over again. So that would be my biggest concern, along with stopping Derrick Henry. But that's where my attention is really looking towards.
Yeah, and when you mentioned the Ravens kind of game planning so well against their opponent, led by John Harbaugh, who's one of the best head coaches in the league, and you kind of see why, just his ability to get the most out of every team. But the Ravens have not one, not two, but 3 tight ends ranked by Pro Football Focus in the top 10. With Mark Andrews, he's been that steady guy, one of the best receiving tight ends. Isaiah Likely, who he had a really good first game, kind of been in the background a little bit, but he could pop off. He has that speed. And then Charlie Kohler as well. So you might see a lot of two tight end sets with maybe Flowers on the outside, and then just Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry running it down the Bucs' throat with no formidable threats and Levante David and KJ Britt, who Levante, while still very good, maybe a little bit slower. So you could kind of see those tight ends really taking advantage of the middle of the field. Zay Flowers, usually utilized on sweeps and screens. Maybe he goes on a slant route up the middle. It'll be really interesting to see how the Ravens attack the Bucs, but I think it starts with that guy on the screen there, Derrick Henry, who's averaged 5.9 yards a carry, Matt. He's almost 31 years old, and he's still a tank. Like King Henry still reigns supreme as the best running back in the NFL, and you've really seen why this season.
Yeah, that is true. And I think there was a story a while ago about like the amount of money that Derrick Henry puts into like just getting him healthy in the offseason and
I think
during the
$250,000.
season. Yeah, which, insane. What I was going to say, though, is I think for what Tampa Bay hopes is if they can kind of keep everything in between the tackles. So you just made a great point about the screens and the slants, forcing the linebackers. And I'm still a big believer in Levante David. So this is more for KJ Britt or however they want to go about linebacker. But the Bucs don't have the speed to go sideline to sideline with those guys. Now, Tyke Smith does if he can be on the right side of the field when they call these certain plays. But going east to west is going to really hurt the Bucs. It helps them a lot if Derrick Henry can stay in between the tackles, because a lot of the big runs he's ripped off this year, he's gone to the outside, or he's at least started at the guard and tackle and then kind of makes his move from there. So they want to be able to, kind of push everything inside as much because, let's be real. You want Vita Vea trying to tackle Derrick Henry, not Tyreek Funderburg or Jordan Whitehead is a physical guy, but you want Vita and Kalijah Kancey, the strength of this Bucs defensive line, to be the one going after Derrick Henry and making sure that he doesn't really impact them too much. Because as great as Lamar Jackson is, as great as this Ravens run game is, and I know we just talked about like the tight ends trying to light up the Bucs linebackers a little bit. The Ravens have also gotten into trouble in the past of just only throwing the ball and not being able to, do anything else. And I think a part of that is the offensive line is still good, but it's not as formidable as it once was. So you look at that first game of the season against the Chiefs, Lamar Jackson had to run all over the place. And, Jackson is going to be a great equalizer for so many different things because he's an MVP and he's one of the best players in the NFL in the league, let alone one of the best quarterbacks in the league. So I think if you get them throwing all the time and just completely eliminate the run game, it will pay off for the Bucs defense.
Yeah, for sure. And when you kind of look at Lamar Jackson this year, he's done a little bit of everything, right? He has 10 touchdowns to 2 interceptions. He's been very careful with the football. But then you pair that ability with 67 rushing yards a game, combined with Derrick Henry. I mean, there's so much that the Ravens offense can do to hurt you. If one thing isn't going, let's say the passing game isn't going, they'll run it again and again. If the running game isn't going, Lamar has shown an ability to really move the ball, whether that's, say, Flowers, Andrews, Likely, whoever. So the Bucs defense really has their hands full in this one. I think you make a great point, though. You really want Vita Vea and Kalijah Kancey to kind of take over and plug the middle rushing lanes. Because you look at last season when the Bucs faced the Titans, Derrick Henry had 11 carries for 24 yards and a catch for -4 yards. They have stopped Derrick Henry before. Todd Bowles knows how to game plan to stop Derrick Henry. He's a 247-pound bulldozer, but Bowles really knows how to game plan. So you kind of want to see how that really unfolds.
And on the topic of going and going and going, we want you to go to the Autograph app. If people have asked us before, are we going to do a Pewter Report app? And the answer is no, because you can access Pewter Report through the Autograph app. And Autograph is what you already do as a fan. It's reading blogs, listening to podcasts, watching breakdowns, and that's all in one place to earn you rewards for every act of fandom that you do. Autograph was co-founded by former Bucs quarterback Tom Brady on the belief That devotion should be rewarded, and the future of fandom belongs to the fans. So the Autograph app is a one-stop shop. There we go. For all of your sports fandom needs. It has the NFL and, of course, Bucs coverage. Also has the WNBA, MLB, and fantasy football, the NBA and NCAA sports as well. So if you're a fan of another team in a different sport, you can find all of the news and information about them on the Autograph app as well. You can sign up using the promo code PEWTER, that's PEWTER, to access it. It's great with iPhones and Androids too. So you can get Pewter Report news, watch Pewter Report videos and podcasts, and get rewarded in one free app, all on the Autograph app using the promo code PEWTER. We got a super chat to get to. Thanks to Timothy Fitzgerald, also a Pewter Report YouTube channel member. But this one's a $2 super chat, so thanks, Timothy. He says, Mark's like Baker's brother, talking about Mark Andrews, a fellow Sooner stud with the sunglasses emoji. Yeah, I mean, Baker was like, he could barely contain himself when he was talking about Mark Andrews. He said, love you, Mark, at the end. So yeah, he was talking a lot of smack, but he was cracking up about it, laughing, having fun. I'm sure they will, I'm sure they'll exchange jerseys or do whatever after the game. But I was thinking a little bit like Baker's feeling good. He's loose, he's smooth and all this stuff. And it reminded me a little bit of like last year when the Bucs had the 3-1 start. He goes to Oklahoma. He's shooting off the
Red River rivalry.
Yeah, the Red River rivalry game when Oklahoma was playing, and then the Bucs lost a bunch. I'm not saying that's going to happen again, and I'm sure Baker learned from it, but I don't know, that crossed my mind just a little bit. So hopefully that doesn't repeat itself. By the way, the injury report just dropped. Let's get to it. Downloading on my phone. Okay. So, bit of a long list, as to be expected, but Graham Barton was limited with a hamstring injury. Chris Braswell, limited shoulder. Ernest Brown, he's still on the 21-day window. He fully practiced with the rib injury. Jamel Dean, hamstring, did not practice. Payne Durham, calf, did not practice. Mike Evans, hamstring, did not practice. William Golston, I don't know why I said William. Will Golston, knee limited. Christian Izzian, elbow and groin limited. Rakim Jarrett, knee limited. Cameron Johnson, ankle, did not participate. Trey Palmer, concussion limited. Rashad White, foot limited. And Antoine Winfield Jr., also limited with a foot injury. So not too many surprises there on that one. We'll have to kind of wait and see for the next couple of injury reports. But Graham Barton, his availability this week, Robert Hainsey played pretty good. What do you do with that situation?
Yeah, you have to wonder, right? Because Robert Hainsey, he had probably the best game than he did all of last season. He really held up well. The offensive line in general did well, but Hainsey was the biggest surprise. If Graham Barton is 100%, though, you have to wonder, like, do you stick with Hainsey? And Hainsey, he's been really dependable. Baker Mayfield obviously knows him well. I think in that aspect, it's very appealing to stick with Hainsey. But if not, Matt, let's say Graham Barton is good to go. Do you send Hainsey to the bench, or would you consider maybe moving him to left guard?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I think my answer would be let Graham Barton heal a little bit more. Like, don't come back too quickly. Let him see the game from a different angle and allow Robert Hainsey to continue what he did against the Saints. Because Ben Bredesen, I don't think, has been a huge issue this year. Now, if the Bucs feel that Robert Hainsey is a step above Ben Bredesen and they can get away with it with Barton at center and Hainsey, then yeah, I'm all for it. But I'm kind of leaning towards just keeping Graham Barton away for one more week, because I think at the moment he's not an upgrade over Robert Hainsey. He eventually will be an upgrade over Robert Hainsey. That's why you drafted him with their first round pick. So I would let it wait for one more week. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. That type of mentality. I think, again, ride the hot hand, ride it at center as well. Like, why not? It doesn't have to just stay for one position. I do know, though, that, offensive linemen, doesn't matter if you're Robert Hainsey or Grant Barton or anyone, offensive linemen love to eat. And there are not many better places to eat at than Walk-Ons.
Yeah, so what happened out there tonight?
We struck out at home with leftovers, then we remembered Walk-Ons.
What effect did the situation have?
Spirit soared. Nick took on a burger. Jen obliterated her ribeye po' boy. And speaking of spirits, Laura even scored a real tasty cocktail. She needed that.
Any lessons learned today?
Yeah. Head straight to Walk-Ons.
Scratch-made dishes, wall-to-wall TVs, craft beers, and cocktails. Walk-Ons for the win.
Shout out to Walk-Ons and all the great deals that they have on top of their fantastic food. They have tons and tons of time for happy hour, including today from 3 to 6 and then 9 until close. They have it all day on Tuesdays. Some great deals, $5 Tito's, $3 happy hour pours, $4 house wines, $5.49 domestic drafts as well. Check out their starters from the fried pickles to the boneless wings. There are no bad options when it comes to Walk-Ons. There's 3 locations, including one near Wesley Chapel where Scott lives. Another one very close to Raymond James Stadium, right in Midtown, pretty close to me as well. It's a perfect spot to go to for game days on Saturdays and Sundays. This would be the best week to go to because the Bucs play on Monday, so you can enjoy all the college football on Saturday and then the rest of the NFL that's going on for Sunday before the Bucs play on Monday. And they have some of their own deals, like the $4.49 pints and 22 ounce of $5.99 of Michelob Ultra, Bud Light, Budweiser. You got the $5 Heineken Silvers and the $5 Neutrals as well. So check out Walk-Ons in one of their many locations and have a great time doing it. And just a reminder to everybody, while this show is wrapping up, we still have a lot of content coming up on our YouTube channel. We'll have the Pewter Insider tomorrow. How do the Bucs slow down the Ravens' run game? And then, of course, on Monday morning, we will have the Pewter pregame show. That starts at 9 o'clock for Bucs versus Ravens, 9 in the morning. We'd love for you to join us live, but we also understand it's a Monday morning. So if you're not able to watch it then, you still have the whole day to watch it before it's Bucs versus Ravens. And then when that game kicks off, it'll be the Pewter Game Day show as we react live to every single play that's happening in the game. We give our analysis. It's a fun time. We're very interactive with everybody in the chats and the comments as well. So always a lot of fun. Hope you guys can join us. Hopefully the Bucs can get a big-time win against the Baltimore Ravens in what should be a very, very fun matchup. So that's going to do it for us on today's show. Just a reminder for everybody as well, if you're not already doing so, please follow us on our social medias on X, Facebook, and Instagram. We are at Pewter Report. And our YouTube channel is Pewter Report TV, where you see all of our content. So please like and subscribe. Leave a comment below as well. We'd really appreciate it. So for Adam Slavon, I'm Matt Matera saying thanks everybody for watching. And we'll see you next time for another edition of the Pewter Report podcast. Out.
Out.